Hey everyone, as you may or may not know, today, February 20th, 2022, marks 2 years since my mom Donna passed away. And since we're still living with COVID, it makes it a little bit tricky for all of us to get together, so I figured I should record the eulogy that Barbara and I had worked on for the service that we planned to do way back in March of 2020. So if you've got a moment today, please feel free to take a moment, watch this video, celebrate Donna's life with us, and honor her memory, cherish some of the memories and moments that you have with her as well. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Mawhorter. I'm Donna's oldest son, and it's absolutely amazing to get the chance here to finally talk about my mom. It's been a long time, and I wish we could do this in person, but I wanted to get this out there for everybody and for us. Before I continue, again, I want to thank you for spending some time with me today and watching the video. So I would like to take the next few minutes together to share some of the highlights from my mom's life and some of the stories that have been shared with me since her passing, and reminisce with the family and friends here. My mom was born back in 1959 to Charles and Virginia Brantley, just outside of Los Angeles. She was the youngest of 4 children, with the oldest, Warner, being 18 years older than her. And so I guess it's safe to say that she might have been an accident. Warner's daughter, Stacy, is much closer to my mom in age, and she remembers her as, quote, just the coolest. Driving around, listening to rock music back in the day. As a kid, my mom also enjoyed things like skating, playing volleyball, and with her mom, and she frequently, played at the local park. That'll come into play a little later. Her family eventually moved to West Covina, and my mom and dad met, or where my mom and dad met, rather. And my dad tells a story like this. He was at the park one day with some friends and family, and he met my mom, who was there babysitting. They got to talking, and when it was time to head home, he asked her for a goodnight kiss, to which she obliged. And good thing, too, or else I probably wouldn't be here today. My dad grew up in Burbank, but as luck would have it, some of his cousins actually lived on the same street that my mom lived on. And they started dating back in 1975, when my mom was a sophomore at South Hills, where she had played volleyball. After my mom and dad got together, my dad said she didn't have time for volleyball anymore. She was spending time with him, but she did play in high school. They eventually attended my mom's homecoming and senior prom together. After my mom graduated in 1977, she went to college with plans of becoming an educator. She started by studying liberal arts at the University of Laverne and eventually would end up at Cal State San Bernardino many years later, where she received her master's in administration after attending night classes. After graduating at Laverne, my mom started her career working as a resource specialist in West Covina. In 1990, a few years after purchasing a home in Rialto, my mom started working in the Etiwanda School District, where she's been the rest of her career. She began as a resource teacher at Caron, eventually moving over to Lightfoot and landing a position at Solorio Elementary, which is in Fontana, still part of the Etiwanda School District, though. She's been at Solorio for the last 20 years, with 17 of those years as the assistant principal, where she served alongside her principal, Dr. Pilgrim. And I think it's just pretty amazing that both were there for so long. School administrators tend to move around quite a bit, if you know, and so it's amazing that both of them were there at the same school for so long. Back in 2019, Dr. Pilgrim, the principal there, honored my mom with a 20-year celebration, knowing that she was planning to retire at the end of this past school year, and well, I guess 2 years ago now, 2020. And I know my mom really appreciated that celebration for her. So talked about some of the things, Donna did, and now I want to talk about the type of person that she was. I think we all know that my mom's defining characteristic was just how caring she was. At school, she was kind and patient with all of her students, especially those who needed the extra help. I remember plenty of afternoons where when I was younger, I was ready to go home, but there was an IEP meeting where she was meeting with students' parents. And even though there were certainly times where parents might have gotten on her nerves, I know my mom, she just really wanted what was best for every kid. I remember we couldn't go anywhere without a student or a teacher or a parent or somebody recognizing her, out to dinner, and somebody would stop by the table and say hello. She impacted so many of us, and as a caring educator and as an empathetic administrator, she really touched a lot of lives. When she wasn't at school caring for her students, she was at home caring for us. As I mentioned, I'm the oldest. 6 years younger than me is my sister Barbara. 6 years younger than her is the youngest Bryce. And apparently my mom is only fertile every 6 years. That, or maybe it's no coincidence that something that happens every 6 years is called sexannual. My mom used to stay up late, help us with homework assignments because she wanted to see us succeed in life. She was forgiving even when Barbara wrecked the car. She was welcoming when I introduced her to Melissa. She babied Bryce. Yeah, she was there whenever we needed her, whenever any of us felt like the world could have been tumbling around us. As kids, we often went camping, or we'd take the boat out to the Colorado River or the lakes out there. And whenever we go out to the boat or on the boat, my mom would prep lunches for all of us. And there's just something so special about a simple, turkey sandwich on white bread that's been tucked inside of an ice chest all day. Barbara told me she remembers that our mom would always put her sandwich in the bag upside down. And so she'd eat the curved edge of the crust last. And never thought to ask why, but guess that must have been her favorite part. Even when we weren't camping, my mom would always make my dad's plate. As anybody in the family knows, she'd go to the buffet tables or whatever for doing potluck. She'd grab the plate, make his, serve him, and then go back and get her own, or try to make both at the same time. But that was just one simple way that she always showed her love for him. Our biggest worry now is that my dad and Bryce might starve, but so far they seem to be doing okay. Speaking of eating habits, I think we all know my mom loved ice. Extra ice in her drinks, water with lots of ice, Diet Pepsi with extra ice. Wiener Schnitzel's had the best, she used to tell us. And, she would even run down and do a special trip and go down to the Wiener Schnitzel's there by Solorio just for a soda sometimes. And she certainly hated Dr. Pepper, which is my favorite. And I'd love to, make her do a little taste tester. If the waiter got the drinks mixed up when he came out, I'd always like to, oh yeah, this doesn't taste like mine, and hand it to her and quickly get a ew, yuck response from her. And that was always fun to do to her. She was a picky eater, and we would always tease her rather for her special orders. One of her favorite places to go was El Merendero. And even though they've got like 100 different combo items on the menu, hers had to be a special order picking from the a la carte. Growing up, there used to be a small restaurant in Rialto called Herman's. And we often go down there for breakfast on the weekends. And I'm sure her order today would be the same as it was back then. An ABC, an avocado, bacon, and cheese omelet with a side of sour cream. And of course, that Diet Pepper with extra ice. She also loved these weird chocolate candies with orange filling. Why or how, I don't know. Besides camping and boating, my mom and dad liked to spend their time together on long drives, going off-roading in their Jeep. As kids, Barbara, Bryce, and I, we all remember driving up and going train spotting, where we'd spend the evening waiting for the next train to drive through the Cajon Pass. Exciting stuff, I'm sure it won't be long, though, before we're taking Brooklyn up into the Cajon Pass to do the same thing. She already enjoys watching the airplanes come flying in over my dad's shop in Upland. My mom also loved going to concerts, especially Sammy Hagar. Her and my dad's favorite, and I'm pretty sure she loves Sammy more than any of us. Probably seen him at least 10 times over the years in concert, and us there with her for most of those. But my mom enjoyed a good show no matter what. She enjoyed going out to those shows, and her and my dad even would take us to other shows. Barbara remembers my mom taking them, or both of them taking her to a small hole-in-the-wall venue for a Screamo band back in the day. Of course, my mom loved to shop. If you know my mom, you know she liked to shop. I think that was a nice de-stressor for her. And, when I was a kid, it was Mervyn's, where I used to go hide in the clothing racks, and I'd get paged over the loudspeaker. Brandon, your mom's looking for you. It's, she's ready to go home. More recently, it was Kohl's, and it wasn't out of the ordinary for her to drive to stores miles out of the way. I'd give her a call on the phone. Where are you at, Kohl's? That one over here. No, I'm in Moreno Valley. Like, what are you doing way down there? But she knew where those clearance racks was. She was always looking for a good deal, and she could do the percentages in her head. If 60% off a $55 jacket, she didn't need to pull out the calculator, check the sign. She knew that jacket was going home with her that day. That love for shopping, I think that spilled over into our Christmases as a kid. Even as adults, our Christmas trees were just never quite big enough to fit all the presents under them. And we are guilty of being bad shoppers for mom, but there was always gifts under the tree for her. And that card might have said from Mark, but there was a good chance it was from mom to mom. Donna used to make the morning announcements at Solorio. And every day at the end of her announcement, she would end the announcement with, "Make it a roaring great day," which is a reference to the school's mascot, a tiger. So today, as I wrap up here, I would like to sign off with the words my mom from her morning announcements and say, "Make it a roaring great day. That's what she would have wanted." Thank you guys for spending some time with me here today and thinking about my mom on this day.